The Socio-Economic Right and Accountability Project has urged President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to stop the payment of pensions to former governors and their deputies. The organization, if you recall, in 2017 filed a suit seeking the repeal of the pension for former governors and their deputies across the states of the Federation. The organization stated in a letter dated March the 23rd of 2024 and signed by the Deputy Director, Kolawole Oluwadare, and a copy of which was made available to newsmen on Sunday, March the 24th, told President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to follow the footsteps of Abia State Governor Alex Otti. On March the 21st, Otti signed the Abia State of Nigerian Governors and Deputy Governors Pension Repeal Law of 2024, which prohibits former governors and deputies in the state from receiving pension payment. And on Friday, during his visit to the governor at his country home in Abia State, former President Olusegun Obasanjo described the payment of pension as outrageous and a daylight robbery. In a statement, Serap urged Tinubu to emulate the good example of Governor Alex Otti of Abia State by immediately obeying a court order in 2019 ordering the federal government to recover pension collected by former governors and to challenge the legality of state pension laws prohibiting those involved to collect such outrageous pension. With the country going through a difficult time at the moment and the recent move by the federal government to cut down on cost of governance, many feel that this call is timely to end the unreasonable and unwarranted pension paid ex-governors and their deputies. But the big question and the big story for today, will the federal government heed such a call? And will other states follow suit as Abia in abolishing such outrageous law? Well, this and more as it concerns the pension for ex-governors and their deputies is what this edition of The Big Story is all about. We're talking about pension for ex-governors and their deputies, the growing call for it to be repealed. And that's what we're having as a major one today on The Big Story. We're looking at that very act by no other but the Abia State Governor Alex Otti, when on March the 21st, he repealed that very law. That was instituted way back in 2001, giving 100% payment to ex-governors and their deputies on account of ruling the state. That's what we're having as a major discourse today on The Big Story. And I have no other person but is the National Secretary, Human Rights Protection Congress, and the State PRO for the Committee for the Defense of Human Rights. And I'm talking of activist Kevin Ojomodo. Good morning and welcome to the show, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Ray. Good morning, our esteemed viewers.
Well, anyway, it's indeed one that's already causing a whole lot of ripples, and CC repealed that law. I'm talking of the Abia State Governor, Alex Otti. Well, it has been something of more of a comment, and many stakeholders seem to be backing him. But I want us to first start with that very call from Serap, and calling on Mr. President to repeal such law. And if you recall, there was a judgment dated the 26th of November, 2019, when the then Justice Oluremi Oguntoyibo called or ordered the federal government, then President Muhammad Buhari, to stop such payments to governors. But as we do know, the former president refused. He did not. So my question now is, do you see President Bola Ahmed Tinubu yielding to this call of Serap, or do you feel that he will go the way of the former president in rejecting the call? And the reason I'm asking you this is, number one, we know he's a former governor, so he's enjoying from the pension. And not only that, many ministers under him are former governors, like that of Transport and Works and Housing. So my question now, would he have the political will to go on with the call coming from Serap, knowing also that major stakeholders, high-ranking members in the National Assembly are also ex-governors? Would he have the political will to do what Serap said he should do?
Well, first I must commend Serap for the timely suit against the federal government. You see, they said evil travails when good people fail to take actions of the happenings around them. It's a commendable one from Sarah. And I must say, it's such an aberration that we find ourselves in a country where the rule of law is not being respected, where the government of the day does not respect the court orders from the judiciary, and we're clamoring for an autonomy. And we said there's equality of the three organs of government, the judiciary, the legislature, and the executive. But we've seen over time, the executive has always played Lord over the judiciary and also the legislature, which hitherto has not portrayed our democracy in the global standard. We've seen former President Donald Trump was charged to court in New York. He appeared. He went to give his plea and make his defense. In Nigeria, we've not seen any of this. Why? Because in the words of late fella Nkakuti, it's called paddy government. It's my friend, it's my brother. So therefore, you don't care about the will of the people. But ideally, in the same line, the will of the people, the decision of the court, the children of the court, you don't joke with it.
So the will of the people, that's why I'm asking, do you see this president having the political will to go for that very order coming from the court? Also from Sarah?
Going by its antecedent, I don't see President Bola Ahmed Tinubu obeying the court order as well. Because they've over time, he was once a senator. He is enjoying the leverage. He was once a governor, enjoying the same leverage. And now most of his cabinet and his political loyalists, they are ex-governors, enjoying the leverage from their life pension, 100% pension that they've collected. And we can't run the democracy that way. We can't run the country that way. Hence, you see that whenever there's a national issue of discourse, they all shift their attention to other issues that doesn't concern them. Because they say, perhaps if they talk, they might say, okay, you are enjoying from this tree.
So why talk?
How come you say that it should be fungated and cut off in the local balance? So I don't see President Bola Ahmed Tinubu also obeying a court judgment. Also, if it goes the way of Serap again, like it did to President Muhammadu Buhari.
But funny enough, that very court order is still on ground.
Enforcement.
Yes.
Enforcement,
you're talking about enforcement.
Yes.
Because let's try and understand, a court order is a court order.
Yes.
And then basically it was a landmark court order
but
between Serap
in Nigeria, they want an enforcement of the orders of the court. Normally, if a court gives an order, from magistrate to the High Court to the Appeal to the Supreme Court, it's binding on all entity in the state. What we keep saying over time, the court will say this, the executive will carry out their own act, and nobody is held accountable. Ideally, former President Muhammadu Buhari should have been called out for this.
But in 2019, we know there was a whole lot of issues. Remember, in 2019, we're going through a bitter election year. In 2019, and more so, he needed some political heavyweights to be with him. We could not forget the saga he had with the with the 8th Assembly during that of Saraki. So many felt the reason he disobeyed that court order was to save his political career. Now we have Tinubu, who seems not to have reason on the background of any political affiliation with any political entity, but being the president himself. So that's why I'm asking you, would he not look at the other way, knowing that nobody brought him on board, he came on board and just obeyed the will of the people?
I want to disagree that you said nobody brought him on board. Those who said I cannot compete with my leader, my national party leader, Ahmed Bola Tinubu, I hereby step down. Those persons, they are allies. So he must reason their own welfareism in taking his own decision. So that nobody brought him, no man is an island. No matter how powerful you are, you still need a lieutenant. You need a lieutenant of people around you
So repealing or going through the court order would be fighting against them.
Very well, but ideally, in a same line, that's what needs to fly. But I don't see President Bola Ahmed Tinubu having that empathy or that political will to push through with that, because it's going to be like he's stepping on toes of his loyalists. And the man I know, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is not even concerned about these 4 years. He's thinking about the next 4 years.
Okay, well, what I am thinking about we should do now is go on a break, and that's what we should do. But when we come back, we'll continue our discussion looking at that recent call that seems to be growing loud and loud by the day, insisting that deputy governors and ex-governors' pensions should be put on hold. Annually, it costs us nothing less but 2.4 billion naira to pay for the pension of these governors and their deputies. Should it continue? Anyway, we'll continue on the discussion at the other side.